Today, we're comparing two of the most famous books in the world of money and success: Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki and Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, these books are often mentioned together, but they're very different. Hill wrote his book back in 1937, during the Great Depression, after interviewing some of the richest people of his time like Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison. Kiyosaki's book came much later, in 1997, and it's written in a more modern, story-driven way. One focuses on the mindset of success, while the other teaches practical lessons about assets, liabilities, and financial freedom. So let's put them side by side and see what they have in common, where they differ, and which lessons are most useful for us today. Let's start with a little background. Think and Grow Rich is almost 90 years old now, but it's still selling millions of copies every year. Napoleon Hill spent about 20 years interviewing some of the most successful businessmen of his era. His goal was to find the formula for success and share it with ordinary people. The book is more about mindset, desire, and persistence than about money management. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is much newer and based on Kiyosaki's personal life. He grew up with two father figures: his real dad, the educated but financially struggling poor dad, and his friend's dad, the wealthy and business-minded rich dad. Through their advice, Kiyosaki learned the difference between how the rich and poor think about money. His book is more practical, using simple concepts like assets versus liabilities, cash flow, and the rat race. Napoleon Hill's core message in Think and Grow Rich is this: what you think about, you bring about. Your mindset, your burning desire, and your persistence create success. He emphasizes imagination, faith, and specialized knowledge. In short, wealth begins in the mind. Kiyosaki's message is more concrete. He says financial education is the missing link in schools. You don't get rich by just working for a salary. You get rich by building assets that create income. For him, wealth isn't just about desire, it's about understanding money and using it wisely. So, Hill is about the psychology of success, while Kiyosaki is about the mechanics of wealth. For Hill, wealth is almost spiritual. It's about attracting success, achieving goals, and building the life you imagine. He doesn't define wealth only in dollars, but in terms of personal achievement. For Kiyosaki, wealth is mathematical. It's measured by how many assets you have and how long you can live without working. If your money works for you, you're wealthy. This is where the two books really differ. Hill focuses on belief and desire. Kiyosaki focuses on numbers and strategy. One of the biggest differences is in how the books teach. Hill gives you 13 principles, things like desire, faith, persistence, imagination, organized planning, and the power of the mastermind. These aren't step-by-step financial tips, but more like personal development habits. Kiyosaki, on the other hand, teaches through stories. He explains why a house you live in is a liability, why relying only on a paycheck is risky, and why building cash flow is essential. His lessons are easier to apply day to day. So, if Hill is the philosopher of wealth, Kiyosaki is the coach of wealth. Hill says specialized knowledge is key. General knowledge won't make you rich, but focusing on one area and mastering it can. He pushes for self-education and continuous learning. Kiyosaki is blunt. Schools don't teach you about money. They prepare you to be employees, not entrepreneurs. He believes financial literacy should be as important as math or reading. Both agree that education matters, but not the traditional kind. They mean financial self-education. Hill spends a lot of time talking about fear, fear of poverty, criticism, failure, and even fear of success. He says fear paralyzes us, and we have to conquer it with desire and faith. Kiyosaki also talks about fear, but in a practical way. He says most people are afraid of losing money, and that fear keeps them in the rat race. Rich Dad taught him to learn from mistakes, take risks, and not be controlled by fear. So again, Hill focuses on the inner battle of fear, while Kiyosaki shows how fear impacts our money decisions. Of course, both books have their critics. Hill has been criticized for being vague. He talks about desire and visualization, but doesn't always give concrete steps. Some even question whether he really interviewed all the people he claimed. Kiyosaki is criticized for oversimplifying money. Not everyone can just buy real estate or start businesses. Some of his advice is seen as too risky or unrealistic for the average person. But here's the thing, both books continue to inspire millions, despite the criticism. That's because they touch on truths people can relate to. One about mindset, the other about financial literacy. So the big question is, which book should you read today? If you're new to personal development and need motivation, Think and Grow Rich is timeless. The idea of setting goals, believing in yourself, and surrounding yourself with the right people will never get old. But if you want to understand money practically, how to manage it, invest it, and build freedom, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is more relevant. Our world today runs on financial literacy, and Kiyosaki explains it in simple terms. The truth is, the best approach is to read both. Hill will prepare your mindset, and Kiyosaki will give you the financial roadmap. In the end, Think and Grow Rich and Rich Dad, Poor Dad are like two sides of the same coin. Hill shows you the power of your mind, while Kiyosaki shows you the power of money. One without the other isn't complete. If you combine the burning desire and persistence from Hill with the financial strategies from Kiyosaki, you'll have both the inner strength and the outer tools to build wealth. So I'll leave it to you. Do you think mindset is more important or financial education? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more book breakdowns and comparisons.